everybody. Great to see everybody here on this Thursday afternoon. Um, Hot and miserable for me, so I know it's much, much worse for all of my friends who are on the panel right now. So I hope you guys are staying cool and comfortable. Um, First, we'll start off with some introductions in the panel. Jack, you want to start off and say hi to the folks?
Yeah, hey, how's everybody doing? And I will tell you there, Sister Rhonda, it's really not hot here. I think it got up to 67 today, 69. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
Dang.
that's
believe it or not.
nice.
Yeah, it is.
That would be perfect.
I'm sure it won't last, but we'll take it.
We're still hitting 90, 92, which is cool for us this time of year, but I'm not complaining. So because it could be a lot worse. So and Kay is next on the panel. Kay, how are you doing?
I am well. Hey, Estrella in the chat. Are you the same Estrella that's over in the new video about Daniel in the comments section? I don't know. Is this Estrella's first time, or I've just not been paying
Uh,
attention?
this is to. I've never seen Estrella's name before, so welcome, Estrella. Had some question marks and then said Daniel with hearts and exclamation points.
So there was a new video that came out on a station called, or channel called, oh dang it. I can't think what it's called. Naked something or something
Okay.
naked. Anyway, she was in the comments. There aren't a whole lot of comments yet, but some of them are some of those closed-minded people that say that they've been following the case from the very beginning, but they don't seem to have any questions about the case, which is always interesting to me because um, when I started looking into the case after I assumed he was guilty first, I had a ton of questions when I was trying to follow the case for myself. So those people are so annoying. Anyway, she was given some positive comments, if that is the same Estrella.
She
Um,
said probably. I'll have to. Yeah, you'll have to link that in the chat somewhere.
Naked
Kay or
Criminal is the channel.
okay. Yeah, I haven't seen that. I'll have
Yeah,
to
I
check
think
it
it came out
out.
2 days ago. Kumiko sent it to me.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
anyway, welcome, Estrella, and ready to read this transcript.
Yep, that's what we're going to do today. She says, I post about Daniel all the time. That's great. We really
Cool.
appreciate that, Estrella. And welcome to our channel. I 99.9% of the time we talk just about Daniel, so we really appreciate you being here. Um, let's see, let me put in one more. I was posting comments all over the place the other day. Sounds like me, Estrella, when I find a new video about Daniel's case. I've had people say, "Here, why are you making so many comments? Get out of here!" One person said, "Do you realize you've made over 300 comments on this video?" No, I didn't realize that, but thanks for letting me get in your head to the point where you took the time to count.
Rent free. Rent free. That's rent
Rent
free. That's,
free.
yeah, you damn right. That's the best way.
Yep. I'm looking forward to checking that one out. I'll join you in those comments, Estrella. We'll tag team them.
Hey, Estrella, if you're not a member of the Discord channel, Rhonda's Discord channel, Daniel's Truth, you should join over there so we can get you some documents if you want some. If you don't,
Yeah.
I think we have some documents more than most people get their documents from Brian Bates' podcast website, holtzclawtrial.com. But we have some different ones, so hit us up over there.
Yeah.
All
And get
right.
the mods to drop the link. That would be awesome. And and before I forget, yeah. So welcome, Estrella. It's always great, and let your friends know or anybody else that you know who's supportive of Daniel, and uh, just share the content, share these videos. We're not. I'll just tell you, we're not just people who are reading a couple of things online or getting a portion of a document here or a portion of a document there. We know what we're talking about. We have we've been doing this a while. And so anything that comes out on this channel is 100% accurate. Well, 99.9% accurate. We can't always be perfect. But we come with facts. What is that? What do the kids say now? What do people say now? We bring the receipts. So anyway, before I forget too, I wanted to say welcome to everybody over from Foul Play as well. We appreciate you guys hanging out over there and listening to Daniel's case via Foul Play. If you ever want to, just join this channel over here at Just Rhonda. Subscribe, like, comment, share, and all those good things. And we would love to have you over here as well. I'm getting closer and closer to that community page. So, all right. So, Cherie, how are you doing this fine afternoon?
I'm doing awesome. It's in the 70s here, so it's wonderful.
Nice. Nice.
I want to welcome everybody to Inside the Wrongful Conviction of Daniel Holtzclaw, episode 17.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And Sister Susan, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing good, Rhonda. Thank you. I also want to welcome Estrella, or is it Estrella? I'm curious. Yeah, it's always great to have new people join us in backing Daniel and trying to get the truth out there. So, yeah, I'm ready.
We'll take everything we can get as far as sharing Daniel's case.
Dang, right. I put the Oklahoma spin on her name. It probably is Estrella.
Oh, she says it's actually either. She says either. It's actually Star. Okay,
That's what it means
you know what?
in Spanish. Yeah.
I actually like Star. I think that's really awesome. So I will call you Star if I can remember. It looks like you have a black cat. I also have a black cat. See, we have so many things in common already. Okay, so tonight we're going to start with the preliminary hearing transcript of oh, makes sense. Perfect. Says her parents were hippies. TJ, thank you. I hope someday you will join us and the world will live as one. Yes. Was that the great John Lennon? No, that's not. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to try my music trivia today. Yeah, John Lennon, that's what I thought. So we're going to read the preliminary transcript of Carla Raines' the preliminary testimony for Carla Raines' preliminary hearing. And then when we finish with that one, we'll go into her trial testimony of her case during the trial. Next week, the detective that investigated her alleged case is Rocky Gregory, and so we'll read his testimony next week. He's hard to understand, hard to connect his dots. He's dumb. He can't form a cohesive sentence or thought. So he's going to have his own show so that we can help get through it together. So tonight we are going to have Jack has kind of adopted, or I've given him the role for Scott Adams, the defense attorney for Daniel. And Kay is reading, I believe, the part for Carla Raines. And Susan is going to read the part for Lori McConnell, the ADA who did the direct examination for Carla Raines. And then,
Boo.
yeah.
Are we on page 74? Is that the right document?
I
Yes.
believe so. So,
Okay.
yes.
Cool.
17 pages.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. This shouldn't take us, hopefully not too long tonight. On that, for whatever reason, I can't. Oh, wait. Can't. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, page 7. And Cherie is going to read the part for the court. So,
The Honorable
yes.
Tim Henderson. Is that
Yeah.
not the Honorable?
Oh. Sorry. Yes, you're right, Cherie. The former disgraced Judge Timothy Henderson. We have news for Timothy Henderson. Kay, would you like to share that really quickly?
So there'll be a trial for, I guess, the
Lost
bar.
cake.
Oops.
You
Hang on.
need to
Am I
re-say that.
muted?
They're not now.
Oh, okay. So the bar is, I guess, someone filed a complaint against Henderson because as a result of him sleeping with a prosecutor that was prosecuting cases in his courtroom with him. 2 people so far have gotten a new trial because of that. So I don't know who filed the complaint, but there's going to be a hearing. I think it's in September before the Oklahoma Supreme Court, which is open to the public. So, like I've told some other people, I'm sure they'll punish him harshly. They'll probably like trim one of his fingernails just a little bit too short and tell him you've been a bad boy.
Yeah.
And
Maybe.
send him back off to be a lawyer again.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting a whole lot.
Take him out to dinner for burgers and fries, and you can't have any ketchup. Thanks.
Well, the way they dealt with, he was accused of actually sexually assaulting these women, and
Right.
the grand jury. First, the governor had asked the OSBI to do the investigation, and I don't know what the hell happened with that, because then before we know it,
Nothing.
I think so. Didn't that just kind of fall out on the floor and get covered up?
Well, the grand jury took it over. I mean, I don't even know how to explain that appropriately. I don't know if that's common to have the OSBI hand something off to the grand jury, but I just, it ends up in the grand jury, which, it's controlled by a questionable judge, which used to be Timothy Henderson's job, was to oversee the grand juries. So, I don't have a lot of confidence in whoever's overseeing the grand jury right now. And they handled that all within the grand jury. So everything's sealed. So we don't know what his emails or text messages were.
Well, yeah. I mean, come on. That you're going to get personal stuff.
They have to handle it that way, because if they release those emails and text messages, I bet a lot of shit would fall apart, because there's got to be so much ex parte communication going on.
Mm-hmm.
And that communication, it's really just sickening that they're covering it up like this and, protecting the conviction, this one and others, I'm sure, by keeping it hidden within the rules of the grand jury and how it operates. So anyway, we'll see what happens at his hearing, his trial for the complaint against him for.
Kay, just as an overall thing, you're a lifelong resident, pretty much, of Oklahoma, right?
Right.
This is me being nosy. So, you being a lifelong resident and thinking about situations where a judge has been basically turned in for anything. Does that happen really very often? Not really.
I
Rare
mean, usually
that you hear about.
usually if a judge is getting called onto the carpet, it's in my experience from what I've seen, especially recently.
Pretty rare.
It's, can you not hear me?
I can.
Yeah.
Pretty rare. Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, you said pretty rare. I thought you said, "Are you there?" I'm sorry.
You're fine.
So I think it's more what I see is it looks like a judge pissed off a bunch of other judges or someone with a lot of power, and so they go up against that judge and get him out of there. They did that with a black female judge not too long ago. um, I guess we'll see. They'll make excuses for Henderson and his bad behavior, but whatever she did wrong, she had to be disbarred. She had to be taken off the bench. So,
Oh my God.
but I know that there was controversy in some of her rulings, and she wasn't maybe playing by the rules. And we've heard about how Oklahoma County, especially, how they organize things, and there's a chink in the chain from the top to the bottom to get things done or keep things from being done. It's no different in Stevens' case in Wisconsin. But
well, the OLR. I mean, it's just a joke to me because talking about Henderson's case, and then I think about the OLR and the list that I saw years ago that someone dug up about all these various lawyers that were brought before the OLR for, a lot of, a good chunk of them were nothing. There were very minor things, but there was still a pretty lengthy list of these defense lawyers and prosecutors that had committed serious felonies, and they didn't go to jail.
yeah, different rules.
Oh,
Yep.
absolutely. Anyway,
Just
thank
us.
you, Kay. Yeah, that's right. Just us.
System.
Mm-hmm. Sorry about that, Rhonda. Didn't mean to.
My dog's going to be a freak tonight, probably. Stacy has a gig, and Sam's being high maintenance right now. So I apologize in advance if he barks in the middle of the deal.
I'm babysitting my grand dog, so I may have the same problem. Although he's being a very good boy right now.
I love the doggy barks. It's fine with me. Speaking of judges and attorneys and things like that who have committed crimes, there is a site, I think it's called Brady Giglio List or BradyList.com or BradyList something, and you can actually go through this website and find different prosecutors and judges and attorneys who have been found or accused of doing wrong acts. And so, Kay, I think that the lady that you're talking about, the judge, that female judge that you're talking about, that had something to do with Prater, if I'm not mistaken, right? I can't remember what her name was either, but
is it like
anyway.
Kendra Coleman or something like that? I remember
Coleman, yeah.
It was something to do with taxes, and I wouldn't be surprised if Prater, cooked something up because he was mad at her for some reason.
Yeah. And I like Kay said, there were some questionable things in her rulings or in her campaign funds or something. I don't remember, but I remember reading about it because I was trying to dig up dirt on Prater, and that came up. So, yeah. So yeah, I'll have to see if I can. Maybe Cherie can find that Brady List website and maybe share that in the chat because it's kind of interesting to go through it, and David Prater's on it, and Galen Gigger is on it. And so hopefully someday we'll see. I don't know if it actually includes judges or not, to be honest with you. But anyway, And Star is saying that there's something called Mother's Revolution, she says has a list. So I'll have to check that out as well. Okay, so we're going to, excuse me, we're going to go ahead and get started with this. I don't know what just happened. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started with this trial. Cherie, you were fine to read the court part. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So we will just start. Basically, yeah, you can start on line 4, Cherie, if you'd like.
Miss Raines, would you spell your last name for me, ma'am?
RAINES.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
All right.
Thank you, ma'am. Miss McConnell, you may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Raines, I want to draw your attention back to March 14, 2014. On that day, did you come into contact with an Oklahoma City police officer?
Yes.
And where were you when you came into contact with that police officer?
On 16th Street,
16th and what?
in between Fonsel and Kate.
In between Fonsel and Kate. Did I hear you correctly?
Yes.
Okay. Is that in Oklahoma County?
Yes.
And were you by yourself or with other people whenever you came into contact with?
I was by myself.
Okay. And the officer? Tell me how you came into contact with the officer.
I was walking down 16th and he stopped me, was asking me if I had any ID, asked me where I was coming from, asked me where I was going, and he asked me if I had anything on me, and I kept saying no. And
Let me stop you, ma'am. You said that he was asking you these questions. Was it a male police officer?
uh-huh.
I'm sorry, was that a yes or a no?
Yes.
Thank you.
Was he by himself or was he with other police officers?
By himself.
And was he in a police car or something different?
Police car.
Do you remember what the police car looked like?
A black car, police car.
Okay. Was it all black or?
Yes.
Okay. And you said he was asking you questions. Did he stay in his police car when he asked you those questions? Or did he get out of his police car?
He got out of his police car and then put me in the police car.
Okay. And where did he put you in the police car?
In the back seat.
And what happened next?
And he just kept asking, did I have anything on me? He asked me if I had been arrested. And I was asking him, why was he stopping me? I mean, for what reason? I don't have any warrants. I had my ID.
Did he tell you why he was stopping you?
No, he said he just wanted to talk.
And what happened next?
And he just kept, it was just like nonchalant conversation. I don't remember word for word, but he was asking me, did I have anything on me? More or less talking about the upper part of my body because I had on some jeans. And he just kept wanting to know, did I have something up there? Up here.
Let me stop you there, ma'am. Before he put you in the back of his patrol car, did he ever pat search you?
My pockets to see if I had anything on me.
He checked your pockets?
No, he just pat, just pat.
That would be your front pocket?
Yeah, and had me to turn around if I had on some jeans, so you can see that it was nothing in my back pocket.
Do you remember what else you were wearing that day, ma'am?
I don't, just a jacket and tennis shoes like I always wear.
Have you come into contact with police officers before?
Oh, yes.
Have you been pat searched before?
Uh huh.
I'm sorry, was that a yes or a no?
Yes.
Thank you.
The way that he checked your pockets before you got in the patrol car, was that similar to how you've been pat searched by other officers?
Yeah, I guess.
And then you were telling me that he had asked if you had anything on you.
Uh huh.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. The lady next to your right, is taking down what you say, and she can't, it's hard for her to,
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
that's why we keep pestering you about saying yes and no.
Okay.
So whenever he said, quote, do you have anything else on you, end quote, you were motioning towards your body. Was he motioning towards you at that time?
Just the upper part.
Okay. And you're kind of pointing towards your breast with your finger.
Yes. Yes.
Is that what the officer was doing?
The upper part.
Was he pointing towards his body with his finger or towards your body with his finger?
He was just like, he was motioning his hand, like, do you have anything else on you? And I was like, no. And he just kept asking me that he needed to be sure that I didn't have anything on me. So I just got to the point where I just opened my jacket and raised up my shirt and lifted my bra.
Okay. So you lifted your shirt and your bra up?
Uh-huh.
Did you expose
Was that a yes or a no, ma'am?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
That's okay.
did you expose your breasts whenever you did that?
Yes.
Was that something that you felt that you had to do?
Yes.
Why?
Well, because he kept asking me, talking about making sure that I didn't have anything on me, and I was ready to get away from him.
In your other contacts with police officers, have you ever had to raise your shirt with any other officer?
No,
Have you ever been made to expose your breasts with any other officer?
no,
Is that something that you wanted to do?
no.
So what happened next?
Then he just, like I said, it was nonchalant talk. I don't remember what it was because in my mind was just thinking I wanted to get away. And then after he let me out the car, I started walking back down 16th, and then a friend of mine saw me and he picked me up. Um, he went around the block and picked me up, and then the police car came up behind his car with his bright lights on, and he had the big light on. And my friend, he couldn't see. So he was at the corner and he was like, uh, and he got on the loudspeaker saying that if he didn't move, that he was going to take him to jail.
Okay, uh, let me make sure I understand. So I want to go back a couple of steps. How, when did the police officer let you out of the back seat of his patrol car?
Well, I mean, it was like about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, something like that. I don't know the exact time.
And whenever he made you lift your shirt and expose your breasts, were you inside his patrol car doing that time, during that time?
No, I was on the outside because I hadn't, because he was saying that after I got out the car, he just needed, talking about he needed to make sure there was nothing. And I didn't have anything because of the neighborhood. and he wanted to just talk. And so I'm like, I don't have anything on me. So that's when I raised it up.
Okay. And then he let you leave?
Yes.
You said you started to walk down 16th Street, and that's when you.
And then I turned right on Kate.
Ma'am, I need to hear her question. If you could wait just a second and let me hear what she's asking.
Okay.
When you started walking down 16th Street, is that when you saw your friend, or was that on Kate Street?
No, I saw him pass. And then when I turned right on Kate, he came around the corner and he picked me up. And that's when the patrol car came back behind. When he was going, when he picked me up and I turned around on Kate, he picked me up and turned in. His car was facing 16th Street, and we got to the stop sign. He couldn't see because
Your friend couldn't see?
right, because the patrol car was behind his and he had his bright lights on. And so, and then he got on the loudspeaker and said if he didn't move his car, he was going to take him to jail.
Your friend who picked you up, what's his name, ma'am?
I just know his first name is Maurice. I think that's his first name, Maurice. I didn't know him like real good, but it's somebody that's just an associate of mine I seen.
Did you say Maurice?
I think his name's Maurice. Yeah, I don't know his last name.
After this happened to you, Miss Raines, did you tell anyone? Did you tell anyone about what happened after this occurred?
Not right away. No,
Okay. Did you tell anyone at all?
I spoke only in passing about it maybe once or twice, but I never went into details about it with anybody. I didn't. I just try not to think about it.
Did you tell did you tell police after it happened?
No,
Was there a time when you did tell police?
no.
Did detectives come and talk to you eventually?
Oh, then, yeah.
Okay. Was that something that you brought up about, or did they come and talk to you
They came and talked to me about it.
on their own?
Uh huh.
Was that a yes or a no, ma'am?
Yes, yes, ma'am. I mean, yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Why didn't you tell the police officers?
I didn't think anything would be done. I mean, it was nobody there but just me and him. So to me, I just took it as my word against his. So I just blew it off just as best as I could, just walk away from it.
May I have a brief moment, Your Honor?
You may.
Ma'am, we've spoken a lot about a police officer that stopped you on March 14, 2014. Do you see that police officer in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Can you tell me where he's seated and what he's wearing?
He's wearing a black suit, and I remember more his hair than anything because I remember looking at his hair.
Is he to your left or to your right, ma'am?
To my left.
And to your left, I see four men with black suits. Is he at the table or is he sitting away from the table?
He's sitting at the table. He's leaning on the table.
Is he the one who's closest to the judge, in the middle of the table, or furthest away from the judge?
No, he's looking directly at me.
Could you listen to her question?
Is he closest to the judge, in the middle, or furthest away from the judge?
He's the second one from my left, leaning on the table. He's
Uh-huh.
Let me do it this way, ma'am. If this is one, this is two,
This is three.
3.
Just a moment. Let's let her ask.
And this is 4. Which number would he be?
3.
Your Honor, may the record reflect identification of the defendant as the officer who stopped Carla Raines on March 14, 2014.
Record will so reflect.
May I have another brief moment, Your Honor?
You may.
Ma'am, I think I may have already asked you, but in case I didn't, Northeast 16th at Fonsel, is that Oklahoma County?
Yes.
Okay, I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Cross-examine.
Ms. Raines, would you agree with me that the Northeast 16th and Franklin is kind of a high crime area?
Yes.
And the police are pretty vigilant over there, are they not?
Yes.
And it's not unusual to be stopped or accosted by an Oklahoma City Police Department and inquiring of what you're up to, what's going on over in this part of town, correct?
No.
Okay. And on this particular event that you talk about happening back on March 4th of 2014, you testified that Officer Holtzclaw stopped you, correct?
Yes.
Asked you what you were up to?
Yes.
Placed you in the back seat of his car.
Yes.
But before he did, he pat-started your pockets to, yeah, that's a weird way to say. Pat-started your pockets to make sure you had no weapons or drugs.
Right.
And then he kept saying, I need to make sure you don't have anything on you.
Right.
He didn't say, I want to see your breast.
No.
You just felt that's like what you needed to do to get out of there.
No, because he motioned. You sure that I don't have anything on me?
Right. He kept asking, are you sure you don't have anything on you?
Yes.
At any time, did you request a female officer's presence to search you?
No.
And so eventually you just wanted to get out of there, so you raised up and showed him.
Yes.
Put it back down. He ran you for warrants and let you go.
No. He put me in the back of the police car and said he wanted to talk for a while. And I'm like, what do you want to talk to me about? He said, just like I say, I really don't remember word for word what he was saying, but he just wanted to talk. I was like, I don't have anything that is sitting. Be anything that we need to talk about. And he asked me he's just like I say, just nonchalant. It wasn't.
Did it appear that he was trying to get information on the neighborhood?
No.
But you didn't want to be seen in that cop car because you didn't want to be labeled as a snitch.
Right.
And so he let you go.
Yeah, after a while he did, yes.
And he didn't touch you in any way that was inappropriate at all, correct?
No.
Pass witness.
Redirect.
No redirect, Your Honor.
Ma'am, I want you to be sure I understand. I want to be sure I understand the sequence of events. Were you standing outside the car when you opened your clothing?
Yes.
And was that before you got into the car?
Yes.
Okay, and was he seated in the car when you opened your clothing?
No, he was standing at the back of the police car.
You were both standing at the back of the car?
Right.
And it was after you opened your clothing that he put you in the car?
Right.
Okay, I just wasn't sure the order of how things happened.
Right. Yeah, right.
Ms. McConnell, will the state have further questions within the scope of the court's inquiry?
May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes, sir, you may. Or yes, sir, yes, ma'am, you may.
When you were standing outside the police car and he was instructing you to raise your shirt by motioning to himself, is that something you felt like you had to do?
Yes, because he kept pointing to that area. Like he said, he needed to make sure that I didn't have anything on me. And I'm like, well, you know, he touched my pockets and he was just like, are you sure? I need to make sure you don't have anything on you. So when I opened up my jacket, he's like, are you sure? And it was just like, this was the area that was was to me, that was, eh, he was talking about, because there wasn't no other, I didn't have anything in my pockets, or like I said, when he did like this, so what other area could he have been talking about?
Did you feel like you were free to leave at that point?
No,
Free to walk away from him?
no, he didn't say I was.
I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Mr. Adams?
Sorry. Second.
On 12.
Whenever you state that he was motioning like that, he certainly wasn't grabbing your breast, correct?
No,
And he certainly wasn't grabbing himself.
no.
Pass the witness.
Ms. Raines, that is all the questions we're going to ask you today. Ma'am, you can push the microphone forward where it's out of the way and step down. May Ms. Raines be excused, Ms. Lacano?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're free to leave now. Thank you for being here. It's about 10 of 11. Council, will this be a good time to take a 5-minute break? And
Seeing
That's
you.
all. Yeah, there you go. Good job. So before we start the trial part, that entire preliminary hearing testimony was a complete fabrication. There is no truth in there whatsoever. And the entire thing is a lie. And if you remember back to last week's, or the week, was it last week or the week before, when we played the interview between Carla Raines and Rocky Gregory, she said like 5 or 7 times that she had nothing like that had ever happened to her. She brought up a cop, a black officer the year before, who had been exposing himself to women on the streets. But that was all she said. So every single thing that we just read in that transcript was a lie.
He was convicted on her, right?
no,
No?
that's my memory that he wasn't.
Oh,
She
good.
was.
Yeah,
I don't remember ever hearing of Maurice before.
yeah, me
That
either.
was new for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maurice seemed kind of like a ghost. I think his name's Maurice, but he's my friend associate. Now, this got in his car, you know. I don't really know him, but I got in the car anyway. I don't know.
Yeah. And, you know, Kay did a great job reading that, because you could tell just by Kay's portrayal, at least I could, that she was flustered. She couldn't seem to get the story straight. So, or at least that's what it seemed like to me. Maybe that's just because that's the way Kay read it, but that's the way that it really makes sense that it really went, because it was a completely made up lie. Now, there is some truth to the other accusers in the fact that there is, you know, well, I shouldn't say truth. There's no truth to any of it, but there was legitimate stops that were made, and things like that. But this whole thing with Carla Raines was completely fabricated. I am I right, Kay? Is that the way you remember it?
I was trying to remember if the actual. I mean, he did have contact with her there, right?
Yes.
But he also uh, he didn't flip around and do
No.
the things that she said he did, where he was shining a light and following her friend. That didn't match up with
With the AVL.
the AVL. So, what they did, I'm assuming, when they went to her house, when Gregory went to her house and asked her about it, after obviously having a phone call with her previously where she denied it. And he says, I just didn't think I was being quite clear on this. And you're right. She said like 7 times, no, how'd you even get my name on something like this? Because I hadn't been on the street that much. I mean, there was an officer once that was exposing himself, but that was a black officer, or that was a black officer. I don't know how she said it. But then magically, with no other documentation of another meeting between them that I recall, um, she changes her story. So at some point, it seems that they've reminded her that she was stopped by this same officer on 16th and Fonsille, or Fonsille and Kate, or whatever that is, um, to refresh her memory about an actual traffic stop that she was involved in. Um, and then she was free to add the things that Rocky had, you know, coached her into. What kind of things is he doing to women? Oh, you're saying uh that they do him a favor, they won't go to jail. And Rocky says, yeah, yeah, there you go. There you go. So she had the allegation she needed. She just needed to be prompted to blame that officer that stopped her at 16th and Kate, because they had AVL on that contact and he called her in.
I bet it wasn't 30 or 45 minutes.
No, no. That'll change in the trial testimony, I guarantee you.
Oh, jeez.
I can't remember, but they always do. By the time they get to trial, it's so interesting to look at their initial statement, which we don't have an initial statement on her of how much time it was, because she completely denied that it happened. And then prelim, you know, they
What we
bring
just
these
read.
women and they didn't have them coached up well enough or whatever. So they said what they said, enough to get an indictment. And then by trial, man, they're right on the money, most of them, for what the AVL shows.
Wow.
So it's really obvious that they coached him using the um, path of travel if he took him somewhere, or
The
where
length of
he's,
time.
yeah,
The
length of time, his car, yeah, it was more like 3 to 5 minutes or whatever. So yeah, a lot of them have quite a bit of a more clear memory the farther away from time it gets.
uh,
You know how that goes.
mm,
So she was there was only one count on her, and it was count number 2, procuring lewd exhibition, and he was found not guilty on her. So the count date was March 14th, 2014, and they identified her on August 15th, 2014. So that was just about a week, not even a week before Daniel was arrested.
But
Anyway,
she did join the lawsuit, right?
she did.
Yep. Still part of the lawsuit. Well, there is no lawsuit anymore, but she was a recipient of the Oklahoma taxpayers' money. So
Even though he was acquitted on the charges, she did get money.
So she got whatever it was, 15,000 or whatever.
Yeah, she got however much the other people got from the city who had consequently already been released from the lawsuit. They
Wow.
settled after they were released from the lawsuit.
So
That
crazy.
makes sense.
No.
I bet the taxpayers would like to know that story.
Uh-huh.
They handled all that crap in executive session in the city council meeting. So it was just an item agenda. Nobody knew.
Crazy.
let's see. Yes, T1 or T1 TJ T1. I get so confused. It was dismissed, except for the city did pay out a settlement amount, which they didn't have to. Like Kay said, they had already been granted summary judgment, and for whatever strange reason, they ended up coming back and awarding the accusers $112,000 and X amount or whatever. And that had to be no, not necessarily TJ. She
Hush money,
yeah,
like Estrella says.
yeah. Didn't the lady who admitted to lying get money? Nobody's admitted to lying necessarily.
Well,
I'm not sure.
I think she's asking about Sherry Ellis. And actually, Sherry Ellis, she dropped from the lawsuit.
Yeah.
Tabitha also, well, you know, he didn't touch me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it
Never
she could be
touched me.
talking. Yeah. So
You
she
know,
could
so
be talking about that as well.
Rhonda, I see you've saw the question that B.W. Haggis put up.
How many women in total came forward against him? Nobody actually came forward.
One.
Well, yeah. Shardarian Hill. It's sketchy whether or not she actually came forward, but yes, one. But they also like to say that Terry Morris, the very, very first name that really comes up in the case, said, they like to say that she came forward as well. Other than that, the only person who came forward was Shardarian Hill, and he was also found not guilty on all of her charges as well. Yeah, that was Tabitha Barnes, Star, who said that he didn't touch me.
13 that made it to trial. There were more than that.
Right, that's true. Yeah, there were some made false claims after the trial already began, and so they said there's like a total of 20 accusers, and one of those was a man.
Who admitted to lying.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and he admitted to lying. Yeah. So other than that, though, nobody technically came forward. Haggis, it was.
Well, I mean, Janie Liggins technically came forward for sure. So
Yeah. She's the only
and she's the one who started the whole damn thing.
Yep.
I mean, and it's unclear if Shardarian Hill came forward.
Yeah, there's some.
Because at the very beginning of her interview, Rocky shuts down a conversation real fast when she starts talking about something about a phone call or something. He's trying to establish that they haven't had contact before, and she says something that is going to derail that, and then he changes the subject real fast. So, I mean, I think there's something sketchy there. It sounds like they had talked on the phone before, but he was taking great pains to try to establish that they had not. So we don't know.
Yeah, that's
You
a
have to look.
sketchy.
Yeah, you have to listen to the beginning of that Chardarion Hill interview and decide for yourself what you think.
Yep, very true. So yeah, that's just. I just wanted to, before we start to listen to her trial testimony, I just wanted to make that clear that her entire, other than the actual encounter, but her trial testimony is going to get interesting. So um, you'll see when we get to
Let's
that.
get
So.
to it. Yeah.
Okay, on this part, we're going to. This is now the trial, and on line 12, we'll start with the court. Whoops, let me get the. Okay.
Call your next witness.
A state calls Carla Raines.
All right, ma'am. Step right before me. All right, if you'll have a seat over here in this chair. Once you get situated, pull the microphone right around in front of you. If you would state your name and spell it for us, please.
Carla Raines, CarlaRaines.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Raines, back on August 15th of 2014, this detective that's sitting here at our table, Detective Gregory, did you make contact with him or did he make contact with you?
He came to my house.
Okay. And did he ask you a question about whether something had happened to you?
Yeah, he asked me if I had contact with an officer, and he asked me if,
Ma'am, if you could just lean into that microphone.
okay, he asked me to give a description of him. He asked me what happened.
Okay. Before this date, when you came into contact with Detective Gregory, had you ever talked to anyone, any police officers, about what had happened with this officer?
No.
Had you had contact with an officer that you told Detective Gregory about?
As far as what happened,
Yes.
yeah, I told him what happened.
Let me ask you this question, ma'am. Where were you whenever something had happened with a police officer?
It was on 16th Street by Fons Hill.
By Fonzell?
Uh-huh.
Is it in Oklahoma City?
Uh-huh.
Is it in Oklahoma County?
Yes.
Do you know approximately what time you came into contact with this police officer?
Not really for sure what time.
Do you know if it was morning?
It was like evening towards nighttime. Well, it was dark. I mean, kind of dark a little bit.
It was dark outside.
Uh-huh.
Were you by yourself when you came into contact with this police officer? Or were there other people with you?
I was by myself
What were you doing that night?
walking.
Where had you come from?
Well, my mother's house. My mother stayed on 14th in between Kellam and Missouri.
And where were you headed to?
Well, just a friend's house.
So while you're walking, this police officer made contact with you?
Yes.
Okay. And tell me about how he made contact with you.
I was walking west on 16th Street. He was going east toward Martin Luther King, made a U turn, pulled me over, asked me what I was doing. And I'm asking, well, why was he stopping me? Because I mean, I had my ID on me and everything, and he's just asking if I had anything on me. And, I mean, I had on some jeans and like a jacket, kind of like this. And I'm like, I don't have anything on me.
Let me stop you there, ma'am. This police officer, was he by himself?
Yeah.
And when you say he pulled you over, was he in a patrol car?
Yeah, he stopped the patrol car on the street and got out.
What did that patrol car look like?
I think it was a black one, I think.
One of the older style black and white cars or one of the newer style?
New one. I think it was a new one. I think so.
And you said you had your ID on you. Did he ask to see identification?
No, not that I remember.
Whenever he first made contact with you, did he immediately ask you to get in his patrol car or did you talk outside of his patrol car?
He's asking me where I was going and if I had something on me. And then we got in. He asked me for my name and stuff, and have I ever been to jail? And just, questions like that. And
So, did those questions take place in his patrol car?
those did, yeah.
Okay. Where did he have you go within his patrol car? Were you in the back seat?
Yeah, I was in the back seat. And then when I got out, I was sitting at the back of the car, towards the back of the car. And that's when he's just asked me, I mean, saying, did I have anything on me? But it was basically towards my this area right here, because like I said, I had on some jeans and a jacket. And
And I want to make sure I understand, Ms. Raines. Before you got in his patrol car, did he perform any search on you?
no,
Huh. Did he ever do what we call a pat search or check your pockets or any of your clothing before you got into the patrol car?
no, he's just pointing toward my body. He didn't touch it. He's just pointing toward my body.
So he never put his hands on your body.
No, he was just like saying if I had anything, and I was like, I don't have anything on me. And it was just like I say, it was mainly like towards my breast area, like
And let me make sure I understand, ma'am. When when you say he asked, "Do you have anything on you?" Are those the words specifically that you remember this officer saying to you?
Uh-huh.
And you keep kind of motioning with your hands toward your breasts. Is that what this officer was doing? Was motioning toward his chest area?
Well, more or less, like, yeah, but I mean, he was talking about, no, he was like using his finger, but he was just, it wasn't like one point, like, you have, do you have anything on you? But it was like towards this area,
Okay. Was he pointing toward the area on himself or pointing towards that area on you?
like on me, like, like doing like this.
Did he make any other motions with his hand when he said, "Do you have anything on you?" besides pointing towards your breast area?
No,
Did he point toward any other part of your body besides your breast area?
not that I can remember. I don't know. Not that I can remember.
And the first, well, how many times did he ask you the question, "Do you have anything on you?"
Well, a couple of times.
The first,
I'm not for sure how many number of times he asked me, but
it was more than once.
yeah,
The first time that he asked you, did you respond to him?
yeah. I don't have anything on me.
And then did he immediately ask you again, "Do you have anything on you?"
yeah, then just basically came down to that because as I was telling him, you know, like I say, it was just basically towards my breast area. But I kept saying I don't have anything on me, you know? I'm saying, do you see I have a jacket and a shirt, like a thin shirt on? And I was just, you know, he was just like, you might have something on me, or I can't really remember word for word because I was just, like I say, I was just trying to, I mean, I didn't have anything on me. And
Whenever he was asking you this question, is this while you were seated at the patrol car or while you were standing?
no, I was outside at the back of the patrol car.
Okay. And was he standing right next to you?
No, like in front of me, not next to me, but like in front of me.
And after he asked you this question more than once of do you have anything on you, what happened next, Ms. Raines?
I just kept saying, I don't have anything on me. I don't have anything on me. And he just, like I say, it was just, I can't. I don't remember the conversation word for word because I started getting kind of scared.
Why were you scared?
I don't know. It just, the way he was sounding, the way he was talking, it's just, that it was just like he just, like, like saying that I had something on me. He gonna make me have something on me, and I don't know. I was just kind of scared. It just kind of scared me a little bit. That's all I can say. It just kind of scared me a little bit. And so, like I said, when I'm sorry for yawning.
Wow.
I don't sleep good.
Yeah, because you're a fucking liar. Sorry.
She's having a hard time getting it out here, isn't she?
Yeah.
She is.
It's just like I said, it was pertaining towards, it was just mainly toward this area because I'm like, I don't know, no pockets or anything. So it's mainly toward, this is the only area that it could have been speaking of. And this is the area that I saw him looking at.
Okay. And after he asked you
Jeez.
that, did you feel like you had to do something?
Well, not at first, but like I say, it was just, it became towards, like I say, this area because I'm like, I don't have anything. I don't have no pockets, and I have a little bitty jacket, and I know for a fact that he couldn't search me. I know that a woman officer would have to do that, which is what, that was not even discussed.
Sure. And let me stop you because, Ms. Raines, you kind of keep saying that you kept showing him that you didn't have anything on you. And you're kind of indicating toward your pockets. Did you show him that you didn't have anything in your pockets?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was nothing nothing in my pocket, like I say. It was just more or less, he looked at this area right here because I said I don't have anything. I had on a little bitty jacket, a little thin sports jacket. I had on some kind of jeans fit like this, and I'm
What happened next?
like I said, it was just, he kind of just looked toward this area of my body, and I kept saying, I don't have anything.
On your breast area?
5
Yes.
pages of this. 5
Oh my
pages.
God. Can't we just say objection asked and answered 15 times?
That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking. Where's Adams in this?
Jesus.
Come
And so I can't remember everything word for word. I can't remember everything word for word.
And what did you do next?
So it just got to the point to where I just took my hands underneath my bra and raised my shirt up like this.
Did you raise your bra up at the same time when you did that?
Yes. Yes. I like I say, I kept telling him I don't have anything on me.
Were your breasts exposed when you did that?
Yes, it was.
How did this officer act after you lifted up your shirt and bra, exposing your breasts?
Like he was satisfied.
Why do you say that?
Because he let me go.
Did he act shocked by what you'd done?
No.
Have you been stopped by officers before?
No.
Has an officer ever indicated or motioned to your breast area for you to raise your shirt before?
No.
Whoa, time out. Time out. Have you been stopped by officers before? And she said no.
Yeah.
What the fuck? That's a lie. Oh my
She
god.
said yes in pretrial.
Well, and it's true. She had been stopped by. She used to be a prostitute.
She
Jesus.
changed her story a lot here.
Oh
Oh.
yeah.
Nothing with the pat search or yeah.
Nope.
Well, you have to imagine she's been coached to change quite a few things in her story,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
as we see with other accusers. And like other accusers, they can't get everything,
Yeah.
which is, I'm sure, maddening for the prosecution. But
Uh-huh.
then they clean it up with the detectives by asking them some questions like, you know, they just try to block it out in your experience, or, they just can't remember everything.
Word for word. I can't remember word for word.
And then they're
Yeah.
traumatized, and oh yeah. I'm just annoyed. And Nan's life said, with this testimony, I'm sure the jury were sleeping by the time she was finished. No
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah.
Uh, that's just okay. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was like, wait a minute.
Well,
Okay.
Nan's life, if you listen to many of these transcripts, especially when prosecutor Galen Giger is asking the questions,
You mean testifying for them?
right,
Yeah.
that too, he you can tell that he's, you know, mixing up the questions so much so that not only, I think he's really just trying to confuse the hell out of the jurors, because they have the facts of 13 cases to try to assimilate into one story, which there's no way anyone who's tried to research the facts of this case, there's no way you can remember all of these different accusers and their different stories and locations.
Right.
You just can't do it. And so it would be really easy to overwhelm the jury with this stuff.
And
No
he knew that.
doubt.
And Galen knew that too.
He's good and shitty like that.
Hmm.
Uh, okay.
Line 14.
Line
Line
14.
14. Thank you.
And I want to be clear, Ms. Raines. Did this officer ever ask you specifically, raise up your shirt or
Oh my gosh.
anything?
Like I said, I don't remember word for word. I don't want to say yes and I don't want to say no, but the conversation just led towards me having something up in my breast area.
Why did you think that raising your shirt and bra was what this officer wanted you to do?
There was nothing, this is the part of my body that he was looking at. It wasn't, like I said, I had on a small jacket, little small zip up jacket, so that's where he more or less looked at.
Okay. Did you think you had a choice but to raise up your shirt and bra?
At one point, not really.
And when you say at one point, do you mean at the end of this contact?
Yeah.
Why didn't you think you had a choice?
Well, because I mean, what what else was it? I mean, there was nothing else discussed. There was nothing else being said. It was nothing else. No part of my body being looked at it, and like I say, once it happened, he let me go.
Did he say anything to you after you raised up your shirt and bra?
If he did, I really didn't hear it. I was just trying to get away.
After he let you go, what did he do next, Ms. Raines?
Kept walking.
Did you tell police what had happened?
I didn't tell. I didn't say anything.
Say that I didn't hear you.
No, I didn't. I didn't say anything.
Why not?
I just didn't say anything. Just didn't say anything.
Did you think that
Wow.
the police would believe you if you told them what had happened?
Well, not really, no.
She had
Why
to
not?
feed her that.
Yes,
Sorry.
you did.
She had to feed her that.
Yeah.
That's
Why
leading.
not?
I just didn't. I just didn't.
This officer that we've talked about, who he stopped you around Northeast 16th and Fonzil. Do you see him in the courtroom today?
Uh-huh.
Can you tell me where he's seated and what he's wearing?
Right there. Got on a black suit.
You indicated to your left. What color tie is he wearing, ma'am?
I wear glasses. It looks kind of gray.
We need a gigger.
Oh, Your Honor, may the record reflect identification of the defendant?
All right, record will reflect.
May I have a brief moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Ms. Raines, as we sit here today, do you know what the date of the alleged event that you came into contact with Officer Holtzclaw?
March 14th.
Okay, and how did you come about that date?
When I was contacting and with the DA, they let me know.
Boom.
They told you what the date was.
Yeah, because I didn't remember.
Because do you recall the first time you ever met Detective Gregory here sitting at this table?
When he came to my mother's house on Kate and on Northeast 18th and Kate.
And that would have been in August of 2014.
Uh-huh.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
You would have to agree with me that prior to August the 14th of 2014, you hadn't spoken to anyone in law enforcement about any of the things that you testified here today, correct?
Correct.
In fact, do you recall whenever you, and whenever I talk about Detective Gregory, you understand this gentleman sitting here at the end of the table, correct?
Uh-huh, yes.
And he arrived at your mother's house.
Yes.
Did you know he'd been looking for you?
No.
For quite some time.
No.
Okay. Why did he know to find you? How did he know to find you at your mother's house?
Well, a lot of times I use my mother's address.
Okay, but that's not what your driver's license is listed, is it?
No, it was my apartment address.
Do you know whether or not he'd been attempting to leave messages for you?
Not that I know of.
Okay. But you would agree with me that when you first came into contact with Detective Gregory, you had not only talked to anyone from Oklahoma City police officer or an officer, but you had not reported a crime of any kind, correct? against you.
Against me? No.
Okay. Now, what happens is you first talk to Detective Gregory, and at the beginning, you don't have a clue of what he's talking about. You're not giving him any information, correct?
Right.
In fact, and then after you talk to him for quite some period of time, he then decides to go ahead and record the conversation, correct?
I'm not really for sure when he recorded the conversation.
Well, do you recall him turning on his recorder, the recorders, and saying, "You're not telling me what I want to hear"? Do you recall that?
Uh-huh. Oh, I'm sorry.
Is that a no?
No, I don't recall that.
Do you recall him telling you that he's investigating an officer committing sexual assault on females in the Oklahoma City area?
Yeah, I remember him telling me.
And do you recall telling him specifically that you are not a victim of anything like that?
No.
Okay. Do you recall specifically also telling him while you were being recorded that you tell him at no time had ever exposed yourself to an Oklahoma City officer?
No, I don't recall that.
You also then at that time recall the detective telling you that or asking you whether or not you ever exposed anything below your waist to this person.
I don't recall. I've never said that before.
Do you recall talking to Detective Gregory? You had no that you don't know what he's talking about.
I don't recall that.
Basically, Ms. Raines, do you recall the very beginning of the conversation with Detective Gregory while it's being recorded, and after you've had an off-the-record discussion with him going through a scenario of 5 different events of whether or not you had either exposed yourself or an Oklahoma City officer had ever been inappropriate with you in any sexual manner whatsoever, and you told him no on 5 separate occasions? Do you recall that?
No.
Okay. If I allowed you to listen to a recording of that conversation, could that refresh your memory?
Maybe, yeah.
May I have a moment, Your Honor?
You may. Come on up. You plan to refresh her recollection
Refresh her recollection with the recording.
with a recorded interview conducted by Detective Gregory with this witness.
Yes.
Everybody on board that this is in fact the interview?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's going to show her the recording.
Do what?
There's a recorded interview of Ms. Raines with Detective Gregory. So, I mean, if that's what he plays for her, I think it's appropriate for her to listen to it.
For the record, Your Honor, I have the headphones again. I'm gonna to offer to introduce this video, this audio tape also, but I'm not there yet. But I'm gonna offer it after she listens to it.
I don't know that I think I'll probably object to that, Judge, but
Okay, well, we're not there.
I'll cross that bridge. Right.
We're not there yet.
All right, so as we did, I think on Friday, do you plan on having this witness listen to it with headphones on and see if this refreshes her recollection of the conversations with Detective Gregory?
Yes, sir.
All right, have him just bring it up.
And can he use the headphones again? Is that how you want to do it?
Well, have you got a specific part that you?
Yeah, I've got it. I've got it queued up just so the record's clear. It's about 1 minute and 14 seconds during the discussion. I just talked to her about, and it has it, and he has it queued up to where it starts and where it ends.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's going to happen is we're going to have Apparently, an audio played for Ms. Raines that she's going to hear in the headphones for about a minute and 14 seconds to see if it refreshes her recollection.
Ms. Raines, did you have an opportunity to listen to the recording that we allowed you to listen to?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Did you have an opportunity to listen to the recording with the headphones on?
Yes.
Does that help refresh your memory of your discussions with Detective Gregory back in August of 2014?
Yes.
It does?
Uh-huh.
Was that an accurate depiction of your voice and Detective Gregory's voice on that audio tape?
Yes, along with my mother's, yes.
And you seem to be alerted in any way?
Altered.
I'm sorry, altered in any way?
No.
Move for the admission of defendants number 2, the audio recording, Your Honor.
May we approach, Your Honor?
All right.
Judge, I would object to the admission of the interview. I think that if he wants to refresh a witness's memory, he can ask her questions about specifically the portion that her memory's been refreshed on. I think that's appropriate. To admit the whole interview or even a portion of it is inappropriate at this time.
Holy
Of course you
Right.
do.
Oh, no, we don't want to exonerate. We don't want him to get acquitted.
Yeah.
I asked that
Don't
it
want
be
to impeach
introduced.
this witness, right?
Right.
Holy
I asked
shit.
that it be introduced, Your Honor, as impeachment evidence. It clearly that it not only just her, but it did impeaches Detective Gregory in the way he asked her the questions. And he was leading her. And she kept saying, no, 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 until finally, after some additional information, then she goes along with their story. So I'm going to ask to introduce it at this time.
I didn't hear the last part, Scott. What did you just say?
Huh?
What did you say at the end? Until finally she said what?
Until finally she goes along with basically Detective Gregory's story.
Judge, it's not impeachment of anything because he hasn't even asked her the questions about what he hasn't given her a chance to admit or deny whatever statement he's trying to impeach her on. He's just refreshed her memory, but he hasn't gone the next step. And even after that, I still don't think, unless she denies it again, that extrinsic evidence would be appropriate. He hasn't taken the 2 steps that he needs to take after this.
I can't see.
Line
Sorry.
4.
Line 4.
Okay. You said you want to introduce it as impeachment evidence?
I'm introducing it to actually as extrinsic evidence. This goes along with our theory of the defense that, in fact, these weren't victims, that these were people that the Oklahoma City Police Department was coaching. Basically, that she starts out in the interview, no, 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 on 5 separate occasions until he finally gives her some additional information. And then she says, oh, yeah, well, this deal did happen. So I'm trying to play as for the doctrine of completeness, I think the whole interview ought to be coming in, and that's what I'm asking to do is for the entire interview from start to end.
Judge, it's still not impeachment evidence because he hasn't asked her a question or given her a chance, once again, to admit or deny whatever statement he's trying to focus her attention on. That is what would be impeachment evidence. And if she denies it and he has substantive evidence of it, then perhaps extrinsic evidence would be admissible. But he hasn't reached that point yet.
She's fully completely authenticated the tape as being her voice and that of Detective Gregory's. It's not been altered in any way, and it's extrinsic evidence. And I'm asking that it be admitted for for the doctrine of completeness. I'm asking for the entire interview to be admitted.
The authenticity isn't the issue, Judge. It's the fact that it's improper impeachment of this witness at this time. The authenticity is not the foundational issue that counsel hasn't crossed yet. It's the fact that he hasn't crossed the impeachment. Yes, he has.
You got some section of the evidence code that will allow that in, you believe?
Well, she's already denied on the record that she said she doesn't recall any of those events happening. I use it to refresh her memory, but also to get her to authenticate the tape that is her voice and that is Detective Gregory's voice, that it has not been altered in any way. And so I'm asking that it be admitted. 2803.5, a record containing a matter in which a witness once had knowledge but now has insufficient recollection to testify fully and accurately, shown to be made or adopted by the witness when the matter has refreshed the witness's memory and reflect that knowledge correctly. The record may be read into evidence, but may not be itself be received as an exhibit unless offered by an adverse party, which is obviously Officer Holtzclaw. And 2804.1, Your Honor.
And you were saying?
I rely on 2803.5 that I've just read into the record. Also 2804.1A as an exceptional circumstance, but if the judge doesn't believe it's covered here or covered there, it's an exceptional circumstance not covered by 2803, 2804, 05, and 06, but possessing equivalent, though not identical, circumstantial guarantees the trustworthiness and is not excluded by the hearsay rule.
I'm also having a hard time finding 2804.1. Are you having a hard time, Judge?
Yeah.
Mr. Adams, the judge and I are having a hard time finding 2804.1. Is that what you stated on the record? 2804.1?
And that's what I have in my book.
Under 2803.5, I still don't know that a foundation has been laid, but I'll withdraw my objection as long as it's played in its entirety, because I don't think it's appropriate to play a snippet and not take the statement in context.
All right. So do we have a disc or something?
Yeah, I have a Judge.
It's on a disc.
We're confirming that there's not anything on there that should be redacted. And if there's not,
That's at this point, that's
I mean, I understand you haven't listened to it to the extent.
not for admissible purposes, no. And I just want to make sure we don't do anything that's going to blow this thing out of the water by accident. Oh God, no. I'm not saying Mr. Adams would intend to do that. I'm just saying by accident. I don't want to make an accident at this point.
you don't give a shit about accidents, you son of a bitch.
All right, let's take a 27-minute recess. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we need to look at something before we proceed, so we'll take our afternoon break. We're going to take a little bit longer. We're going to take about a 30-minute break. So I'm going to ask you to return at 3:30. Be back in your... Folks, I need everybody to have a seat in the audience. We're going to ask you to return at 3:30. Mr. Holtzclaw, you're excused until 3:30. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I need to admonish you not to discuss the case, not to let anyone discuss the case with you, not to try to find out anything about the case. If anyone should attempt to contact you about this case, notify me or my staff immediately.
Judge, can I have Ms. Raines step down?
Ms. Raines, you can step down. The jury will be in recess until 3:30. All right, thank you. We'll be in recess. Let the record reflect all members of the jury are present Counsel for the state, counsel for the defendant. The defendant is present. Please bring your witness back in. All right, Miss Raines, let me remind you, you're still under oath. Just go ahead and have a seat back over there. Go, get that microphone pulled right around. Mr. Adams, you may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Raines, before we took this lengthy break, you had an opportunity with those headphones to listen to something that you recognize as your voice and Detective Gregory's, correct?
Yes.
And again, I believe you testified that in no way, shape, or form, to your knowledge, has that audio been manipulated in any way.
Correct.
All right. Now that you've had an opportunity to listen to that, would you agree with me that when the conversation is started, apparently you and Detective Gregory had some phone call?
Well, what do you mean had some?
This prior to this face-to-face interview between you and Detective Gregory on August of 2014, apparently from listening to the tape, you and Detective Gregory had previously talked on the telephone. Do you recall anything like that?
No, I don't.
Well, then do you recall on the portion of the tape that you did listen to, did Detective Gregory ask you, had you ever been exposed yourself to an Oklahoma City police officer, and you answered no?
Right.
And he asked you several questions in that regard, 5 to be exact, where he was questioning you whether or not you'd exposed yourself, whether or not you'd been touched inappropriately, anything like that by an officer. And each and every time you said no.
Right.
Then after Detective Gregory, you're questioning him and you're asking him, well, how did you even get my name?
Right.
And Detective Gregory then goes through and explains to you that he's been dealing with what he terms, and his words were, a very bad guy. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Uh-huh.
And then he also tells you that he has a lot of victims.
Uh-huh.
Ma'am, you need to answer verbally.
Yes. Okay.
And then until this point in time, you haven't said anything had happened between you and Officer Holtzclaw, correct?
Right.
And then you start talking about in generalities things that.
Objection. May we approach, Your Honor? I'm sorry, Mr. Adams, for interrupting your question. Judge, I've already withdrawn my objection and playing the video. I don't really see the point of him going through little items in the interview and not even asking, like, why she said that. He's just asking if they occurred, and I'm assuming the jury is fixing to hear. So it's kind of pointless to ask these questions.
I'm simply asking her independent knowledge of what during her interview with Detective Gregory, what she said. I guess fair game for cross-examination.
Well, it is, but why don't you kind of get to the real point you want to get to, and then we'll play the tape.
After you said no approximately 5 times, and Detective Gregory told you that he's investigating a really bad guy, and he has lots of victims, and you talk in generalities about the neighborhood for the first time. You start talking about an interaction you had at 16th and Bonsall with an officer, correct?
Yes.
And you talk about it in those discussions, you admit that at no time did this officer, and again, you don't know his name, correct?
Correct.
You didn't know that it was Officer Holtzclaw that they were alluding to. And in fact, you had actually told Detective Gregory that you'd only come into contact with one officer in the last year, right?
Right.
So you knew exactly which officer they were talking about, correct?
I didn't know that it was him, but I knew I just gave him a description of who the officer was that I raised my shirt up.
Okay. But during that entire conversation, you admitted that at no time that Did Officer Holtzclaw ever ask you to expose yourself to him?
Did I admit that?
You told Detective
God.
Gregory in no uncertain terms on the whenever you interviewed with him back in August of 2014 that at no time did Officer Holtzclaw ever request, instruct, or order you to show your breast to him.
He just kept this area was the concentrated area on, just like I said, and of course, as you can see that if you can, if I stand up, you would see that I don't have anything in any of my pockets, and it's almost the same thing what I had on then. And the place that was concentrated on was just this area right here that was concentrated on, whether it was by a word or a pointing. This is the area we both knew that he was concentrating on, was just this area. So I
Oh
got
my God.
where I just took my hands and I raised up my breast, raised up my bra and my shirt to say that I don't have anything on me.
Okay. And I believe it was Detective Gregory that interjected the word, quote, we call that a clasp and shake, end quote. Do you recall that?
No.
You don't recall that being said?
No.
Your Honor, I move for admission of defendants number 2, Your Honor, which is the tape.
No objection, Your Honor.
I'd ask to publish.
Court.
Line 2.
I was muted. All right, defendant's exhibit number 2. And how long is this?
27 minutes, I believe.
27 minutes. All right, Ms. McConnell, can you help with that? Counsel, what are we introducing?
We're introducing the DVD, which is an audio recording of...
I thought he was plugging his phone in.
No, that's a drive. That's not his phone. It's a drive.
Dumbass.
Oh my God.
Stupid idiot. Jesus.
I'm not techno.
That's Judge Dry Humper's not techno.
He's got it on a hard drive, Your Honor, and what I'm assuming then counsel will do is substitute the DVD after we play it, but apparently the DVD is in their office. What a dick.
Are we 100% absolutely sure it's exactly the same thing?
We just listened to it back there.
I thought we were listening to a DVD, but apparently we're listening to what this is.
I'm saying whatever you're going to introduce for the court reporter to have into evidence, we've got to make darn sure it's the exact same thing we're fixing to listen to.
Mr. Gray.
Mr.
Yes,
Gray.
Judge. Well, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No. By Mr. Gray. Yes, Judge. What we did was they gave us 100 DVDs, and we put those on external hard drives so we could carry them around.
Make sure you even bring that tomorrow.
Oh, well.
Make sure you listen to it and it's the same thing and it works because it'll go into evidence. And while the jury will deliberate.
Judge, I've got it on this. It has other stuff on it, but I'm sure that's going to be it.
If it's easier, we can play that. I understand.
The thing is, she's going to have it while the jury is deliberating. They might want to listen to it again, and so I don't want that to be the first time it's played.
I understand.
Mr. Digger, for the record, what we're doing is going to publish the interview on the disc counsel is putting in our computer right now. There's also some photographs and some other stuff on it. So as I understand it, the interview we're listening to had to come from this disc because that's what we copied and gave to defense counsel. So it should be the exact same thing.
Right.
Okay, let's just make darn sure it's the same thing we put in here.
I agree. I understand. Okay, line 11. Ms. Raines, you had an opportunity to listen to the tape and in its entirety. Does that refresh your memory of what you told Detective Gregory back in August of 2014?
Yes.
Now, in that conversation, we hear some discussions about. You would agree with me that during that conversation, it was asked of you repeatedly whether or not Officer Holtzclaw either ordered you or asked you to either show him your breast or to pull up your bra, and each time you said no,
Right.
because he never did that under your version of events, as he was saying we need to make sure you don't have anything under there, and the way you were indicating, I wasn't there, but it appears you were saying he was looking at your,
This area right here.
just like you just indicated. Now, in regards to your conversations with Detective Gregory, you also talked in there about, and I just want to be clear it up for the record. At the end of the conversation, there's apparently some discussions about some female officers. It may be something that happened. That, again, has nothing to do with Officer Holtzclaw, correct?
Correct.
And then, again, there's at the end, you're talking about some black officer with vice or something was going on there. And again, that has nothing to do with Officer Holtzclaw, correct?
Yes.
Now, Miss Barnes, you still to this day don't even know when this alleged event occurred, correct?
Well, not the exact date and time, no.
But you were told by the DA's office when they think it occurred, correct?
Yes.
And you were aware of the fact that you came into contact with Officer Holtzclaw back in July of 2013.
No.
The officer that you've identified here today, it's your testimony the only time you ever saw him or came into contact with him was the incident you described on the audio tape and what you've told the jury, correct?
Right.
Okay, but if the records reflect that, in fact, you came into contact with him back in July of 2013, you don't have any specific recollection of that.
No, I don't.
And at no time did you ever see Officer Holtzclaw use any kind of flashlight, correct?
No, I don't remember.
You also, during the interview, stated that this encounter with Officer Holtzclaw that you discussed in the interview and here today in court today lasted approximately 45 minutes.
Well, something like that.
Would it surprise you to learn that with all the records, including the automatic vehicle locating system, shows that Officer Holtzclaw is in that area for only 10 minutes?
No.
Could it have been as short as 10 minutes?
Didn't seem that way, no, because like I say, he was just saying stopping and talk to people, and like I say, I was in the car, ran my name on the computer, took me out of the car. So if that happened in 10 minutes,
And I'm just simply asking you a question. If whether or not all the records that we possess, if it would show that the AVL, the automatic vehicle locating system, places Officer Holtzclaw in that area for only 10 minutes, would you dispute that?
well, if that's what it says, why would I dispute it?
I'm not saying that you necessarily would. I'm just asking if you do.
No, because I don't know. I don't know how long he was in that area.
Ms. Raines, are you a convicted felon?
Yes, I am.
But
And
wait,
again,
but wait,
Yep.
didn't she say she's
Yep.
never had any interaction with the police?
she did.
I'm just double checking.
Yep, she did say that.
Okay.
He did get acquitted on this.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's a
Okay,
train
sorry,
wreck.
Jack.
That's fine. Line 15. And again, there's nothing that Officer Holtzclaw even talked to you about, is it?
Well, I mean, like I said, he ran my name on the screen. It's on there.
Okay. But he didn't talk to you at all about your previous felony conviction, did he?
I don't remember.
Did what?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
You also, during that conversation, you listened to it, you talk about people thinking you might be a snitch. Do you recall that?
I said that could happen to someone, see you standing out there talking to. I didn't say that I would be labeled as that. I'm saying that that could happen. Somebody could see you in that neighborhood. That neighborhood was not a good neighborhood at the time. So it can happen. That's what I was saying to him.
Mr. Raines, and certainly I don't want to suggest any way, shape, or form that you did such a thing. I'm just saying that we hear some discussions on there about you not wanting to be labeled as a snitch.
Right. Saying, I mean, because he's holding me there on Fonshill Street.
I understand. And basically, what you were explaining is to be labeled as snitch is that in that particular neighborhood is not a very good thing. Would you agree with that?
Are you asking me a question? Yes.
Okay. And you said you weren't doing anything like that, but you were in the back of Officer Holtzclaw's car for a very brief time, correct?
Correct.
And from listening to the tape, it appears from at least what I can understand is that you did not quite understand even why Officer Holtzclaw was even talking to you.
No.
You seemed like you were somewhat irritated that he had pulled you over.
Right?
When I say pulled you over, whenever he
stopped me.
confronted you because you were just simply walking down the street. Would it surprise you to learn that this contact you had with Officer Holtzclaw came about 11:30 at night?
I said it was nighttime. I didn't know the exact time.
I'm just
Didn't she say getting dark? It was dark.
she
Yeah.
did.
Getting
Yep.
dark.
Yep.
Mhm.
She did. And I'm just saying, would you agree with me that if the records show that it was about 11:30 at night, that's probably when it was?
Okay.
And it also appears that you were asking Officer Holtzclaw why. Why are you stopping me? Why are you even doing this? And he was trying to explain to you that they were stopping and talking to girls and other people in the neighborhood, making sure that they were okay. That's what he told you.
Okay, yes.
And now, after you had an opportunity to visit with Detective Gregory, you went and hired a lawyer here in Oklahoma City to sue the Oklahoma City Officer Holtzclaw and the police department, correct?
No.
You did not?
I don't have an attorney.
Okay. Have you ever heard of an attorney by the name of Mr. Hammonds or Ms. Rogers?
Just Ms. Roper.
I'm sorry, Miss Roper.
Uh-uh.
Is that a no?
I never heard of them.
Okay. Did you authorize either one of those lawyers? And I want to be very specific about this. Did you authorize Mr. Mark Hammonds or Miss Leah Roper, who offices here on Dean A. McGee Avenue in Oklahoma City, did you at any time ever authorize them to file a lawsuit on your behalf against Officer Holtzclaw and the Oklahoma City and the city of Oklahoma City?
I haven't retained an attorney.
Okay. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm going to hand you a document and ask if this refreshes your memory in regards to whether or not.
Please do. No, I don't. Did I sign anything? Because I don't have any recollection of that.
Do you want to have an opportunity to read this lawsuit or just want to?
I mean, I just found out something could be filed, but I haven't talked to an attorney about this. I have not done this.
So do you know how in any way that lawsuit has been filed here in Oklahoma County on your behalf?
It has been?
Yes, ma'am. It has been.
Okay. Well, I didn't know. I'd like to have that information.
Well, have you been told by anyone to deny the existence of a lawsuit?
No, I haven't really. I asked about it, but I never really looked into it or got an attorney, get an attorney or any of that.
Well, do you know how this law firm has sued their representing you to the court that they represent you? Or are you stating that under oath that you have not authorized any law firm here in Oklahoma City or any lawyers here in Oklahoma City to sue Officer Holtzclaw and the city of Oklahoma City on your behalf?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. May I have just one moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. May I have one brief moment?
Yes.
Ms. Raines, during the interview that we just listened to and the questioning by Mr. Adams, the defense attorney that was just speaking with you, I believe your testimony was you're not sure when this happened. Is that fair?
Not really for sure.
Are you positive about where it happened, though?
Yes, I'm positive. I know where I was.
And that was Northeast 16th and Fonzhill.
Yes.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may. Yes.
Ms. Raines, I'm handing you what's marked as State's Exhibit 187
Hold
and
on.
188.
Why they got that by Mr. Adams? That must be a mistake. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Continue.
I mean, I think. Yeah.
That's
Will
got
you
it's
take
got to
a
be a it's got to be a mistake.
okay? Will you take a look at those and just tell me briefly if you recognize them?
Yes, I was standing right here.
How do you recognize these pictures, ma'am?
I live over in this neighborhood.
Is it a, are they pictures of Northeast 16th and Fonzhill?
Uh-huh.
As it looked at the time that you were stopped by this officer?
Uh-huh.
Ma'am, you need to answer verbally.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said repeat. Repeat the question.
Are they pictures of Northeast 16th and Fonzhill?
Yes.
And do they depict it in the same way it looked back whenever you were stopped by this officer?
Yes, it's right there.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit State's Exhibit 187 and 188.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. States Exhibit 187 and 188 will be admitted.
May I publish, Your Honor?
You may publish.
And I'm showing you this screen, ma'am, State's Exhibit 187. Your Honor, may I have the witness exit the stand and point out to the jury where exactly she was stopped?
Yes.
Will you come and point on the screen for me, ma'am?
I was right here by this sign.
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. You can go and sit back down. And Ms. Raines, I'm also going to show you State's Exhibit 188, which is a different view of the same street, correct?
Uh-huh.
You have to answer verbally, ma'am.
Yes, I'm sorry. Sorry.
I understand.
And were you stopped right in this area? Am I pointing it out correctly?
Up a little bit. Up a little bit, just like right by that sign. Right there.
May I have a brief moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
How many other times have you been stopped by an officer, Ms. Raines?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
More than 10 times?
No. Not more than 10 times. A few times. A couple of times.
And I'm not saying in just this year. In your whole life, have you been stopped more than 10 times?
In my whole life?
Uh-huh.
Probably.
Well,
I don't know.
sure. And I know you don't know an exact number. Did you tell Detective Gregory about any of those stops and allege that anything inappropriate had happened?
I don't remember. Recall our whole conversation. I really don't. Really don't. I don't want to sit here and say yes or no because I don't recall the whole conversation. I don't.
Did you tell Detective Gregory about what happened with Officer Holtzclaw? Because that's what you thought Detective Gregory wanted to hear from you.
Judge, just object to the form.
All right, sustained.
Why did you tell Detective Gregory about what happened with Officer Holtzclaw?
Because he asked me?
Did you think that that's what Detective Gregory wanted to hear from you?
I don't know what he was, because I didn't really know that what he was there for in the first place until, we started talking. So I didn't tell him what he wanted to hear. I just told him what happened.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You may step down.
Woo! Fudge! That was some crazy crap.
Yeah.
Before we go too much farther, I just want to post this question from Nan's Life from Foul Play. Question: are you able to get sidebar arguments? I didn't realize such thing was available until Deputy heard. Sidebar arguments are fascinating. Yeah, I
Well,
can't.
some of them have been in here.
Yeah,
Are they not
Yeah.
all?
yeah,
They had the sidebar conversation about the tape,
yeah.
or recording, I should say, so I don't sound like Rocky Gregory. Oh, got it on tape.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know how it works, but we've been able to get. I mean, in these transcripts, we see all the sidebar arguments. We read them. So
And then there are also some, are they called Jackson v. Deno or
yeah,
something? When they have an
And-
issue that happens, some of them happen in the judge's chambers. Well, like the one we read in Tabitha Barnes' testimony, where they pull her into the judge's chambers and they're asking her about her drug use the night before and the day of her testimony.
right.
I think, anyway. So they're just a part of the part of the record.
Transcript.
I guess. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Well, in the in camera, and of course, we've seen those in Stephen's trial too. The in camera hearings, we get to read as well. But yeah, when we see a trial televised on TV, we don't usually get to hear the sidebar if we're listening in.
No.
But they are part of the transcript, so they are part of the record.
The state did not sue themselves. No, the women sued the state and Daniel and the police department? Detective Gregory, right?
Yeah, and Brian Bennett and Chief Bill City. But I think she might have been, I'm not sure, Star, if you were I felt like she was maybe being sarcastic. I could be wrong. But I don't know, maybe not.
I think she knew she had a lawyer. I think she was lying.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly, Susan. And this isn't the first time that Adams questioned one of the accusers about hiring an attorney during the trial. And I think, well, as far as I know, in the trials transcripts we've read, they've all said, no, I didn't hire an attorney.
Wow.
So, yeah. So there you have the preliminary versus the trial testimony, and of course the audio interview that was actually recorded, what part was recorded, they played in court for the jury to hear.
Yeah,
But,
we've listened to that several
yeah,
times.
we've listened to that, and I'll link that in the description. I didn't do it.
Good idea.
Yeah, I'll put that in the description and link to it, so you guys can go back and listen to it, if you want to hear all that whole thing. TJ says, I think the state sued on behalf of the victims, not sure, then later dropped the suit but paid the victims from what is called the Victims Compensation Fund.
No.
I don't think that's, well, I'm going to let Kay talk about it, but I don't think that's how that happened.
No, a bunch of different attorney groups came in. Benjamin Crump, for starters, and solicited the lawsuits, it looked like. I mean, and Giger even made some interview talking about how they came in and screwed up his case or whatever. When did he say that? Oh, was that in?
Yeah, that's in his.
That was in
amazing. Yeah. Go ahead.
Court reporter presentation, I guess, of the baddest people in Oklahoma County. What was it?
Yeah,
Notorious.
Oh God. Yeah, I think, yeah, it's called Notorious, or at least that's what I have it labeled. I'm actually going to redo that now that I have a better understanding of doing subtitles and things. And I don't know, just perhaps upload that. I don't really know how that works. Jack would have to tell me, but just upload that, and share it, I guess. I don't know if I can do it as a premiere. I guess I can just do it as a premiere.
Do you know how long it took me to type that transcript with his broken speech patterns?
Well, I know it took you a long time, but when I was first doing it because we did it as a presentation, I guess I could just link the presentation somewhere, because I have that all in a presentation, but I did cut out quite a bit of unnecessary blah 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 that Giger was doing. But yeah, I know it's hard to do the typing of it. So if you already have that transcript typed all out, I'll just use your transcript as for subtitles, and it will be faster for sure to redo the whole thing.
Okay.
But yeah, that was a shit show, that court reporters convention thing that he did that presentation in. And a lot of the things that, now that some of you are more familiar with some of these cases, some of these accusers' cases, you'll probably be able to listen to Giger and pick out where he's lying in his presentation that he did. Because, hey, Liam, glad you were able to make it. We just finished reading the transcripts, bud.
Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Explain to Estrella who Benjamin Crump is. Says sounds familiar.
He's a civil rights attorney that, well,
shows up at every highly publicized case. Yeah.
When all this violence from police officers on Black citizens started happening, he just started showing up. I mean, he showed up. I think he showed up at the is it Garner or Gardner?
Eric Garner.
Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin. Pretty much, I think, for sure, by the time Black Lives Matter organized as a result of Zimmerman being acquitted of the Trayvon Martin charges down in Florida, he was all over the place. I think it was Trayvon Martin's. I could be mistaken, but I'm almost positive I'm right about that.
I think it was Trayvon. Yeah, that's the first time I remember seeing him.
I think it was Trayvon Martin that his family got so sick of Benjamin Crump and said he's not our attorney because he just kept showing up on these shows, like CNN and Fox News, and doing these interviews I believe just to enrich himself and his law firm, because
Yeah.
definitely was not interested in the truth based on just looking at Daniel's case alone. I think it was TV1 who interviewed him, and he's talking about how they found the teenager's vaginal fluid and DNA in her panties. Like her panties were a piece of evidence or something. There's not even anything about panties in this whole case with 13 women. No panties. He didn't even know the facts of the case. And I don't know if his firm took the lead on filing that civil rights lawsuit, but they could have investigated, taken their time and investigated the facts of this case, and they could have won some real money against the city of Oklahoma City, but
And
all their
Gregory and Blinkwinkle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all their allegations were pretty much factually incorrect, and they had this whole conspiracy element going on, which I never understood even what they were talking about. I mean, the only conspiracy that was involved in this case was just whatever happened between whoever the powers that be in deciding that they were going to sacrifice Holtzclaw on this one. There's the
Yeah.
conspiracy, but there's nothing.
Yeah. I'll just share a Google search of Ben Crump. He also at the risk of sounding racist, which I no matter how I say it, it's going to sound racist, and I don't mean it to be, but he really literally shows up whenever there's a high profile crime committed against a black individual.
Yeah.
And like he just falls from the sky. It's like, where did this guy come from? But he's just there, like just hears about it and boom, he's there with the George Floyd case. And I mean, I'm not going to say that there isn't a place for civil rights attorneys. Of course there are. But, he just swoops in and is on top of everything. So these are just some pictures of him that might help you recognize him a little bit more. But it's every high profile case that involves a civil rights claim. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with him representing civil rights cases, of course, but he had no business. He had no business whatsoever being a part of this case with these ladies. And the fact that they were not going to win a lawsuit, this civil suit, it's interesting because they end up dropping that suit, but the attorneys had to get paid. These high profile attorneys, Crump and Solomon Simmons, and I can't ever remember the other guy's name that's with Crump's office. He's in his law firm, but he was also a part of Daniel's civil suit. So yeah, that, you know what? I was going to say he kind of reminds me of an ambulance chaser. Breonna Taylor, all of them, all of these, cases. He is there.
A high profile one. Yeah.
Yes, very high profile. So, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't dirty, playing dirty in Daniel's case, the civil suit. Anyway, so so that's kind of what we have for you tonight. The trial test, the preliminary and the trial testimony. You've heard what she said. You guys have all heard what she said in the recording with Rocky Gregory, and it's man, there better have been a not guilty for her, because she never says anything at all during that interview, that recorded interview, and you could just tell, or at least it felt to me like she was not sure how she was supposed to tell the story they had given her, and she was trying to keep it very, very basic, but
But Rocky mentions talking to her on the phone before
yeah,
they got there that day, and she denies that.
yeah, she denies it. A lot of some I don't recalls, and to me, when you hear I don't recall, it's that's the way to get out of lying. Yeah,
Even though it is a lie.
Yeah, exactly. It's still a lie, but it sounds better to say just say I don't recall. So, okay. Looks like I've been trying to cover the questions in the chats, both chats from Foul Play and from my channel. And so, like we said, we have Australia who says she's also called Star, is new, and we're glad to have you, and we appreciate all of your your questions and your input. And she says, I reposted something on Daniel's case the other day, and a journal shared it. I hope he picks up the case. Oh, great.
Which journal?
Yeah, which journal, and what did you share?
Can you give us a link?
Yeah. Well, what is this, Kay?
It's the transcript of Notorious for.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, okay. Okay.
If you want to
journalist,
put it out there for public to look at.
Okay. Oh, okay. Journalist.
We need to add. We need to add the link for the video up on the top there, if you don't mind.
The new one you were talking about, Kay?
The Notorious.
Oh, yes.
Video.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
I had it in this transcript, but the link was broken, so I need to locate that again and insert it into the top of the document.
Okay.
But the settings on this document are so that anyone with the link can open it.
Okay.
What was the name? Notorious what?
No, just Notorious.
The document is. Dang it! Sorry, I have too many windows open right now. Crazy.
I thought it was
Galen Gigger speaks to court reporters. Oh no, we're talking about two different things right now.
Okay.
The transcript that I shared is to Galen Gigger's when he speaks to the Court Reporters Association about the Holtzclaw case.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that's good. He's bragging about all these. He just says all kinds of things that are absolutely false. And you get a taste of how arrogant he is. He thinks he's so cute. Mm-hmm. It's gross. Super gross. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that document is called Galen Gigger Speaks to Court Reporters about the Holtzclaw case. And on the third line, there's a space to put the link to the video of it if you want to, Wanda.
Okay, I posted the transcript of it. I didn't get the link to the video, but I'll get it.
And I can't punctuate this garbage, people, so...
yeah.
And it's freaking 18 pages, too.
I will. I'm not sure. I'll have to look for that video. And then I'll post it in. I'll post it in Daniel's Truth, and then I'll post it also in Discord, in Foul Plays Discord. There's a room for Daniel. I'll post it in there as well, and then people can go there and get that link and find it and watch it.
Sorry, man.
That's okay. Don't be sorry.
I was trying.
And then I'll try to work on redoing the video that I made of it with the subtitles, and get that posted for everybody in a couple of weeks. Liam says, if I was on that jury and had seen the way in which the detectives have produced so many dodgy witnesses and made just as big a deal of them as the slightly better ones, I would have had pause to believe anything they said. I know, I agree. I don't understand it. So yeah, it's anyway. But for now, I will, unless, Australia, I was going to ask, his name is Michael Volt. So where did he share that to? Do you know? Let me read your question again. Let me read this here again. I reposted something on Daniel's case the other day, and a journalist shared it. I hope he picks the case up. Where his name is Michael Volt. Where did he share it? Do you know, Star? I'm just curious because on his Facebook page. Okay. All right, we'll have to check for that. And see what we can find out. Oh, okay.
He's based in Chicago. He's worked with Patch.
Yeah, we'll definitely. I'll definitely want to. Okay.
Investigates podcast The Impromptu on Twitter. What is it? Freelance journalist since 2010, focusing on political, police, corporate, and nonprofit corruption. Crime Magazine.
Okay.
Cool.
Yellow Cottage Tales might pick up the case. I'm bugging them. Yeah, please, bug away, and if they want to contact any of us as well, of course we would, be happy to talk to him. Kay, most likely be very happy to speak with him and give him as much information as possible.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you guys. The two cops that did that 3-part series about Daniel's case, and they talked about police culture in the first episode.
Oh, yeah, failure to stop, right?
I think that was like back in May or something. Yes,
Yeah.
Failure to Stop. Jenny did an interview with them, which is supposed to air on Friday.
Cool.
And I'm not sure if it's airing on their podcast or first on their Patreon.
Oh, okay. I'm not. I'll give you my email address. And then whatever, and then I can get them in touch with Kay. That way Kay doesn't have to put her email address out there. Yeah, but you don't know when it's, sorry, I'm so distracted. So you don't know when they're going to air the interview?
Friday, tomorrow.
Oh.
I just don't know if it's going to air tomorrow on their Patreon or on their podcast.
Okay, I'll have to check it out. I have their Patreon, so.
I know you said you did.
Me too.
Yeah, and Cherie does too. Yeah.
Well, it might be listed on there. You guys should go check it out and see if they're doing any teasers about it on Patreon.
Yeah. I haven't seen anything, but that doesn't mean that there hasn't been anything.
Well, she just interviewed with him on Tuesday night or Wednesday night. I can't remember which. I think it was Tuesday night.
Okay. I'll check it out.
I'm not doing a very good job of keeping up with relaying messages right now.
That's okay. Excuse me. I had some sneezes.
Bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good to know. I'll see what I can find, and then I'll post it. I'll put it in Daniel's Truth and then in Daniel's Room in Foul Play. Okay. All right. Good productive night. Good transcripts information. Great reading. Thank you guys very much for reading everything. And Thursday we'll finish up with Rocky Gregory's testimony, which is just entertaining because he's such an idiot. And I just wanted to also say that the convicting, I guess, starts on September 8th. Well, the first 3 episodes are going to be released for free for people to watch for free, convicting episodes. And then I guess they're going to air each week after that. And how many episodes are there, Jack?
I think 10 is what I remember reading.
10.
So there would be 7 more.
So there will be 7 more, from what we understand, episodes, but that those people are releasing it. They're doing their episodes on Thursday nights.
I told you what we could do. I told you I'll ride shotgun and we'll just do it. Okay. Okay.
Jack, tell them what you told me.
Who would run down Candace Owens and just get up in her grill and say, "Look, I won't say what I said to you, but look here, you're gonna have to back off, Jack, and move your nut."
Gonna have to get a different night because we got 20 people watching my podcast on Thursday nights.
Yeah, Estrella, Convicting a Murderer has been in the works actually since 2018. It's kind of it is the counter documentary of Making a Murderer, which was the Netflix hit, of course, and that released at the end of 2015. This is made by Gilters. It's being released on the Daily Wire finally after years and years of being in post-production. So
are you familiar with Making a Murderer, Star? Because we're also, all of us here on the panel are also very, 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 very involved with that case as well on Foul Play. So if you're not familiar with Making a Murderer, Convicting might not make any sense to you, but
Stephen Avery, Brendan Dassey.
Oh,
yeah. Yep. Teresa Halbach, RAV4.
Ken Pratt.
Oh God! Now I'm a little sick, but yeah, that's right. Ken Kratz.
Yeah.
Anyway, Convicting a Murder.
So that's what we're talking
about. Yeah, that's what Rhonda's talking about. Convicting a Murder. From what we're told, is 10 episodes, beginning on September 8th. The first 3 episodes come out free, and then every week from there forth, you have to subscribe to the Daily Wire, and every Thursday an episode will drop for 7 more weeks, I guess.
So my point is that I can't compete with that. So
Just
I'm
move it to
going
Wednesday if you can.
I can do any other day. if Wednesday works with everybody else, I can move.
Works for me.
Okay. So.
No.
I'm not available Wednesdays, but
Oh, that's right. Well, I need you to help us read.
Well, Tuesday then.
Yeah, we'll do it. Probably it'll be Tuesday. Probably Tuesday.
Tuesdays are good. Yeah.
Okay. I'll probably move it to Tuesdays, starting September 8th. The week of September 8th, it'll be Tuesday.
Oh yeah, I remember now. Sister Susan goes to Bumfuck on Wednesdays. My bad.
Yeah. Yep, that's right. Okay. So I'm gonna, as far as Daniel, we're gonna wrap this up here. Jack, do you have anything else you'd like to comment on?
Well, just a quick plug for Foul Play, because we'll be continuing on with episode 22 of chapter 14, reading with a crew of John Farrak's book on Saturday, 5 p.m. Central. And the plan is now, as far as I know, we're going to continue with part 2 with Travis. That's what he indicated this past Sunday. So, as far as I know, that's what we'll be doing on Sunday. Will be part 2 of Travis Williamson. He's a lawyer. He's going to be answering, going through more of this post-conviction material and answering more questions that, just about the process and helping us understand. So that's the plan right now. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for coming and listening in.
Thanks, Jack. Speaking of Travis, will somebody else please let Travis know he's been hacked on Twitter? I've emailed him and I have put a message in the room in Foul Play, but he's hacked on Twitter, and it's like every other message I'm getting is Travis's Asian something or other. So.
Oh no! Yeah, I'll try to tell him.
So if somebody, you guys can all tell him as well. That would be great. And then Cherie, what have you got to share with us before we go?
Well, just thank you for covering this case, and justice for Daniel.
Yep, definitely. Susan, how about you?
I'll second that. Justice for Daniel. Right. And a shout out to Kamiko. She says she listens to all of these. So hi, Kamiko.
Yeah, hi, Kamiko. We enjoyed your company very, very much. So thank you so much. I got a letter from Daniel this week, and he wants me to share with everybody that he's very grateful to all of the support and the podcasts that we're doing. He's wishing us well each week on those. So he just wanted me to let you guys all know how much he really truly appreciates all of you for your support and your trying to get the word out about his case. So, and Kay, I'll let you finish up.
All right. Well, it was good tonight. I enjoyed hearing all the contradictions again, if enjoyed is the right word. What else? I've been talking to Daniel 3 times a week, and so he had been having some issues with his knee and his back, but I think he's starting to feel a lot better. He's been training for a weightlifting competition that they're having at the prison. So I guess all the prisons across the state are, I guess it's a common thing that prisons do, is have the inmates compete for lifting records and stuff. Anyway, he'll win.
Yeah.
He's already broken a few records there, so it gives him something to focus on, I guess, because there's just not a whole lot when you're in protective custody, you don't have as many opportunities to do outside things or work or do things like that. So, you know, weightlifting and having goals for breaking records is, I think it's good for him. So he's doing good right now. Anyway, thanks to everyone for coming on, and thank you, Liam, for what you said there. Just got to keep bringing the facts of the case and, you know, putting it out there so people can find the content, hopefully.
Yeah,
Be great
definitely.
be great to get a lot more people involved. So
Australia, Australia sounds like she's working on it.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So thank you so much.
Yep, absolutely.
Sounds like Susan's motorcycle's there to pick her up. So.
Hopping on.
All right. Well, then, with all that being said, thank you to everybody in chat for being here. Thank you to Foul Play for tuning in and beginning to take an interest in Daniel's case. Hey, well, you know, Foul Play folks, if you're not familiar with Daniel's case, there's still some time while we're waiting for the state's reply. You know, check it out. Listen to Brian Bates' podcast, Holtzclawtrial.com, and that'll be the best way for you to get some, you know, to get an idea of what the case is about. Watch Daniel in the Den by Michelle Malkin on YouTube. And, you know, while you're waiting for the state's reply, you know, look at this case. I think you'll be shocked. So with that said, until next time, peace out.